Hi, if you want to watch exclusive content with hot girls that you won't watch on YouTube, namely where Naruto roasts Kushina and Mikoto and many other hot girls without restrictions, then visit my Boosty channel at the link in the description. So, this is the first part, and I don't know if it's okay or just crap. Although, the previous work wasn't particularly outstanding either, the same as many other mediocre fics. Konoha greeted me with devastation and a huge crater in the center of the village. So, where did I go wrong in my time calculations? Oh well, no big deal. Big deal, I forgot to set the time difference coefficient so that time in the other world I'm moving to and in this world doesn't go the same. I jumped around other worlds to get a few more abilities and to try to combine them, which gave me pretty good results. For example, Bone Turner, which I got with Decay and Shikatsumiyaku, or for example, Sign of the Ritual from Skyrim. This thing will be very useful to me in a fight against a large number of opponents. I was able to figure it out and determine why it works once a day. This skill works once a day for the following reason: it replenishes the mana supply from the surrounding world. Fortunately, it can be simply filled with energy and used again, but if you pump it with energy yourself, it will still work once a day. I don't know who created this skill, but they clearly wanted a balance, which I broke by simply removing the energy filling limiter in the skill. This limiter did not allow more energy to pass through than was embedded in it, but by removing it, I was able to use it with any amount of energy, only this affects the range. The more energy you put in, the greater the range. I didn't have time to think about skill combinations any further, as I started flying towards the destroyed building to my right. Tsunade seems very happy to see me. Getting out from under the rubble and looking at the one who sent me flying, I saw on her face a strong enough indignation, thanks to which she would clearly decide to give me a couple more punches. You. Breathing heavily and looking at me menacingly, she began to approach me. Where have you been? A month and a half. You disappeared for a month and a half. Approaching me, she hit me again, apparently not even holding back. Apparently, from the first blow she understood that I remained okay after such a blow. The blow knocked me into the ground, after which I sensed in her emotional background that she was beginning to calm down. Idiot! She screamed, but did not hit me again. Again, you made everyone worry about you. She screamed when I got up and sat on the ground. Hello to you too, Tsunade-san. I said politely and bowed slightly. I was late, because of training, as I was on my way to something new and lost in time. I apologize. I added regret and guilt to my voice, after which I looked up at her to see indignation again, but she still did not develop this topic further. What happened here? Pain. She spat out the word as if even the thought of it was disgusting to her. He attacked the village, but we managed. Naruto managed. Everyone is alive, but now the village needs to be rebuilt. She turned and looked at Tsunade's crater. Got it, I said, standing up. Are there any assignments? It's better to stay in the village for a while. I don't know if there will be more enemies, but it's better to have strong shinobi in the village, she said thoughtfully and looked at me. Since you were late because of your training, you've clearly become much stronger. Do not doubt. If something happens, I will do everything possible to defeat the enemy. I smiled, looking at Tsunade slightly from above. Now I'm not as short as I was at the beginning. The growth spurt has happened in the last 2 years or so. Go help those who haven't gotten out from under the rubble yet. If necessary, provide medical assistance. I see you've made progress in it. She looked at her previously missing hand. Accepted. Bowing slightly, I ran towards the wreckage, deploying sensors and looking for survivors under the wreckage. Another half-month passed, during which not many events happened, but they were quite significant. For example, the meeting of the 5 Kage and the declaration of the 4th Shinobi World War. Well, and I also disappeared from the world. It turned out pretty stupid. I just got distracted and didn't even pay attention to Obito, who suddenly appeared and he pulled me into his dimension. I was a little stupefied, because I didn't expect him to come to my home and brazenly transfer me to his dimension. Well, basically, he transferred me to another dimension, fought with me and got punched in the face, which is why he quickly retreated to the real world. According to the system clock, About half a month has passed since he threw me here and I still haven't figured out how to get out of here. With the help of skills, I can only move within a radius of 100 meters or to another world, but I can't move from subspace, since I don't have the right technique, and I didn't leave the seal of the Thunder God, considering it unnecessary. I was stupid. I'll need to study magic more deeply later, it will come in handy. During these 2 weeks I couldn't find him here, since the space is large, and in the fight, apparently, he didn't use his immateriality, so that I wouldn't find him and kill him. But 13 days after my stay here, he showed up to fight again. And from his anticipation, I realized that he was counting on me being exhausted. Well, I didn't want to disappoint him and let myself be killed, which didn't happen without losses. I deprived him of his left arm and right leg. Now he'll also have to put a hand from Zetsu. After all, I tore off his own, and not Zetsu's attached hand. This bastard didn't pull me out of the subspace and left me as is. Faggot. Well, since I can't get out of here, I'll just go to another world, and what if he dies and I'll either die with him if the subspace collapses, or I'll stay here and still have to go to another world. So there's no point in waiting and we'll get going. I'll just leave the meat doll in my place and then I can go. So, darkness, peace, and quiet. Cozy. There is not a single living soul for several kilometers. I even like this place. I could stay for a while. I decided to stay for a few days, after which I managed to find out that I was in the subconscious of a living, intelligent being. First the subspace, now the subconscious. Well, at least it's not hard to get out of here. I also found out that I was in the body of a creature walking on all fours, with a horn and wings. After that, negative emotions began to reach me, weak so far, and they consisted of resentment, anger, and disappointment. I immediately fenced myself off from them, and they no longer bothered me. I roughly understood where and in whom I am, but I don't know the canon at all. But I know that the body is immortal, which allows me to stay here for at least a millennium and finally begin to pump up the energy reserve. After all, the world is filled with it, and pumping it up in such worlds is easier. I hope no one will interfere with me. Attention! A request has been received to use your soul projection in another world. You can refuse the request or accept it. Once the request is accepted, you can break the connection at any time, and you will be back. Accept, yes/no. Well, I was curious who sent this request, and how it was even possible. Although, there is a lot of unknown in the world, and if not everything, then almost everything is possible. Well, I did not refuse, but simply accepted the request, after which I was pulled to the side, and I passed through the interworld through a tunnel, appearing on the battlefield. I looked back and saw a bunch of resurrected people behind me and living people in front. The location is Suna, since I see Suna protectors, and the surroundings seem to hint at it. Only in the crowd there are not only Suna shinobi, but also from other villages. So the war has already begun. Well, it seems like something, somehow. I hope it didn't turn out too bad. Somehow the muse isn't working at all. Although I have collected various blood samples, most of them are just meat that will hold back the United Shinobi Army. It's a pity that I couldn't resurrect Kagaya. He could have served me well as a corpse. Still, the two who possessed the Shikatsumiyaku genome could have helped me more, but what is the body that remained in the subspace of the Madara technique, although it had the same genes, could not be resurrected with the help of the gene material from this body using Ren's unholy resurrection. I collected many samples from village hospitals, but I didn't even bother to look at whose they were. The main thing was that they were in the section where samples of already dead people are stored. I think there will be a couple of strong ones there. An inspection of my appearance showed that I looked the same as always. A black cloak with a scarlet star on the back and scarlet lines on the sleeves, wide dark gray pants, boots and gloves with cut-off fingers and metal plates on the back of the hand. Basically, nothing new, except that I look like I was resurrected by the Edo Tensei technique, although that's true. I don't feel any control over myself, which means I can act at my own will and both kill the Alliance shinobi and interfere with Obito's plans. I think it's worth playing to his tune for now and fighting the Alliance, and then we'll see what else I can do. Our task is to return the sealed shinobi, a voice said behind me. Turning around, I saw a guy who looked like a shinobi of the Abirean clan, although not exactly the same. Don't you dare order me around. I will never obey a leaf shinobi. Oh, the conversations have begun. Everyone attack. We have the numerical advantage. He started giving orders. I don't know who, some sand shinobi, and he looked like a weakling. No, I know that you can't judge by appearance, but this one really is weakling. After standing and looking at this epic fail, when this bunch, mistakenly called shinobi, immediately began to lose, I even put my hand to my face and sighed. Really, a bunch of almost civilians, in terms of strength. When the living reached me, I started to fight back, but only knocked them out, without killing them. He crouched, dodging the kunai and did a sweep, after which, while the enemy was falling on his back, he hit him with a downward reverse elbow, knocking the sufferer out immediately. The next ones weren't much stronger, a blow to the jaw there, a kick to the back of the head here, a spinning kick to the jaw here, and now the 4 of them were off to the world of dreams. He's stronger than the rest. Let's overwhelm him with numbers. The cloud shinobi shouted, and about 10 more rushed at me. I dodged some, knocked out others, accurately hitting their pain points, until some of the resurrected soon began to go in the opposite direction from the living, and naturally, I decided to follow them. It wasn't long before we reached someone sealed. He was surrounded by traps, but the Suna shinobi, the short one, got rid of them, and the monk began trying to unseal him, while I stood and watched this circus. A circus because this monk's antics can't be called anything other than a circus. We were interrupted by the wind element, and the monk was immediately sealed, and we broke the distance and saw the attackers. The shinobi alliance led by Temari. We've wasted a lot of time here to seal the rakeage, and we won't let you unseal him. Oh! The little one exclaimed and immediately ran to Temari. Judging by the expression on his face, she recognized him. How many years, how many winters, Temari? Their conversation resulted in him flying into a nearby cliff. Ha, funny. He let himself get sealed. Be on your guard, he was one of the Leaf Root and Danzo's bodyguard. I didn't listen to their conversations, and I wasn't interested in them, anyway, the result wasn't a fight. Now I was under camouflage skills, and I threw on spells, just in case, and followed Temari's squad. I think it will be fun there. Following Temari, I walked out to the rest of the army, who were standing near the pyramid. Ah, the sealing technique. Even Naruto is here. Oh my. We must join another squad. Our enemy is not a resurrected shinobi, but Madara. This war won't end until we defeat him. Our target is Madara. Octopus and I are just on our way to meet him, Dadabayo. I had already dropped my disguise and simply hid my presence by standing behind the rock. What is this? Do you feel something? Over there. Here comes Madara. After these thoughts, an anticipatory grin appeared on my face. It seems he is strong in taijutsu? It will be fun. The muse has come. And just as quickly left. But something useful has already appeared. I watched them and their conversations for a while, which didn't really interest me, because I was delighted with Madara's appearance. He had a very brutal look. His look at everyone. You are shit, and I am a god! Made me want to give him a couple of slaps. Gaara's attack failed and then the Mahawk began. I was amazed at how Madara put everyone in tie. And to make it even more fun, I sealed him you. He fell from the air, which attracted the attention of the shinobi leaders, and the fact that I landed with him, crushing his head with my foot, caused a violent reaction. Run! Naruto shouted. Where? Temari immediately exclaimed, apparently still remembering our meeting in Konoha and my appearance before the Chunin exam. So many familiar faces. I smiled a feigned smile. Now that's what I call a unification of villages. I smiled even more. For you to stop fighting each other, all it took was for an enemy to appear that was superior to you. So you're alive? Naruto shouted. We haven't heard from you for months, and we already thought you were dead. Naruto. Look at his eyes. Gaara said tensely. He is resurrected. Gaara said, tensing up and already preparing for battle. You think correctly, Gaara. I shouted, standing in a funny pose, putting my hand on my belt, and rudely pointing my finger at Gaara. I don't feel in control of myself, so you don't have to be afraid of me. I looked at everyone from under my forehead and said loudly. But Madara continued to knock out shinobi and was in no hurry to stop. It will be fun! I shouted and rushed at Madara. You were resurrected, Madara said during our exchange of blows, for which neither I nor he hit each other. Who resurrected you? He asked, attacking with a katana at the level of my neck. It doesn't matter! I shouted, crouching down and tripping him, forcing him to break the distance. We stand, look at each other, the air is tense, it takes your breath away. The army of shinobi was also in no hurry to get involved, because they already understood that the fight was not their level. Gaara! Shinobi Alliance! I'll hold him off, take a breath. I rushed at Madara again. The fight continued. A trip, a side dodge, a bone attack that caught Madara off guard, and I managed to wound him in the shoulder. So you are Kaguya, Madara asserted. Strong! We crossed blades. My bone blade and his katana, taken from another shinobi in the heat of battle. The exchange of attacks that landed on blocks from me and him, the sound of grinding metal and the joyful smiles on Madara's and my faces only added to the trepidation in the hearts of the shinobi. No one dared interfere. I started throwing kunai around the battlefield and using Hiraishin. The technique of the second Hokage, Madara said in surprise. Impressive. I teleported to one kunai, then to another, trying to confuse Madara, but the Sharingan allowed me to react to my attacks in time, thanks to which he hit me in the leg, but the wound quickly healed. It's pointless, Madara asserted. We are both immortal and our battle can last forever, he shouted, crossing blades with me. Come to my side. I will create a world in which there will be no wars, no need to die, grieve for departed friends, family, in these wars. Clashing in battle again, he shouted. I am Kaguya. I shouted back, battle is in our blood. No matter what kind of world you plan to create, it will always be filled with battles, deaths, and sorrow. War is the engine of progress. Even if you rule this world, the preparation for war will never end. Taking out my spine to make a chain sword, I shouted and attacked. There will always be those who want to free themselves from your tyranny. There will be those who continue to fight, and sooner or later, they will be able to overthrow you. Only then will the battle be beyond our understanding. The screeching of metal and the appearance of a jagged wound on Madara's arm from the chain sword, which made him become more serious and use techniques. Kato is a fireball. Dodge to the side, shoot my knuckles into the knee joint, get closer and try to cut off Madara's head, which he dodged and tried to cut off my legs, but I used Hiraishin and teleported behind him, spinning kicking him, which he dodged by crouching and still cut off my supporting leg. But he had to break the distance, because I used Shikatsumiyaku and grew bones all over my body, not letting him get closer. How? Tsuchikage shouted, if he is so strong, how could he die? Tsuchikage shouted in shock. As far as I know, he disappeared for several months, after which he was declared dead, and then his body was found. Gaara said. I don't know who or how was able to kill him, but he must be very strong. Gaara, Tsuchikage answered, frowning. They took me by starvation. I shouted, not even lying. I didn't eat or drink for 2 weeks, after which it was easier to kill me, and my chakra hadn't recovered from the last fight, so there's nothing surprising about that. I lied here, yes? By starvation? Asked Madara, and how? A trap? Dodging my chain sword, but receiving a wound on his back, Madara broke the distance an effective method, but in our case, now, this tactic will not help either you or me. Attack, teleportation so as not to lose an arm, attack with a bone from the palm, redirection of my attack and a punch to the face, from which I began to fall, but turned around and while falling, kicked him in the head, after which I broke the distance. You could have helped me a lot in creating a new world. A world without wars. But you chose your side. Dodge, kick to the liver, a series of punches to the body and head with his hands, which were blocked. His response, in the Uchiha style, with jumps, turns, and punches to the head with his hands and feet in the air, which I took with blocks and dodged, moving away, until I ran into a rock and he pierced me with a katana. Let's see how he will act in this situation. Flashed through my head, but I deliberately leaned against the rock. Here he jumped back, sensing danger. Good reaction. I smiled as my chain's words stuck into the rock where Uchiha's head had been almost a second ago. Katon Great Fire Destruction. Madara launched an area attack at me. Fool! There's no one behind me, but this attack will be easy to dodge. I teleported to one of the kunai, to our previous battle site, and rushed towards Madara. The chain's word attack failed, hitting Susanoo, and the Mangekyo was burning in Madara's eyes. You're very strong. You even made me use Susanoo! Madara shouted as he manifested his Susanoo, starting from his body and ending with his swords. Then Susanoo was covered in sand, after which Madara was pulled out of Susanoo and Naruto launched a Rasen Shuriken attack, which Madara absorbed. This is too much, Madara said, standing with his arm outstretched and not receiving a scratch. There was a brief respite for the shinobi, during which Madara jumped onto a cliff and formed Susanoo, summoning a meteorite that began to fall on the shinobi army. The power of this technique caused the shinobi to lose their fighting spirit. Damn it! You're giving up too early. You can't die without doing anything, shouted the Tsuchikage, who flew towards the meteorite and together with the Kazekage, managed to stop it while the army of shinobi was retreating from the attack. But the second meteorite, which hit the first, began the destruction of the first, from which stones flew in different directions, from which many shinobi died. Mokutan Impenetrable Forest. He can even use Mokutan techniques. The Mokutan technique was blocked by Naruto, who stopped it using multiple giant Rasengan. Naruto, that's enough. It's my time to sacrifice myself for the sake of victory. And there can't be a more worthy opponent, Tsuchikage said loudly. Well, a lot of water, little action, in short. Madara then went on about how cool he was and made small talk with the Tsuchikage, perhaps trying to get the truth of his point across, although it was probably not his point of view, but the black weeds. In the next few moments, Madara was slapped in the face by two Kage, the Reikage and the Hokage, and then sent flying off a cliff. The Mizukage, a striking woman, appeared next. Well, yes, where would we be without a pompous pose? Excellent, I will test my techniques on you. Arrogance is everything for Madara, although he recently received slaps from me. While two of the Kage distracted Madara, I approached Tsunade. Long time no see. He touched her shoulder and smiled with all the width of his fanged smile. Now is not the time for idle talk, Renkagaya. We need to concentrate on Madara, Tsunade said, turning slightly and looking into my eyes. Of course, I understand. I nodded and the smile disappeared from my face. There was a roar and I could see Madara's Susanoo again, not at full height, but it was still impressive. I want the same. The technique, not his Susanoo specifically. Now this is a war to protect us all, said the Tsuchikage after he and Gaara protected us from Madara's attack. I didn't interfere in the fight yet, and just decided to watch the Kage work together, and I was right. I saw how the Reikage and Tsuchikage destroyed Madara's Susanoo. Powerful. The only disappointment was that they didn't build on their success and continued talking, and not even related to the battle. Luckily, I didn't have to watch it for long and the fight resumed, while I decided to experiment with the bones. At first, I simply covered myself with them like a shell or a suit. The more I pumped chakra into this armor, the stronger it became, and at the moment my chakra is infinite. Well, almost infinite, to be precise. In principle, I don't need such armor at the moment, but after the resurrection technique is completed, it could be very useful. The appearance was armor all over the body, like the suit from Section 8. There were slits for the eyes and I illuminated them with chakra, giving them a purple color, which will allow me to not be detected when using the Sharingan and the Mangekyo. Actually, I don't need slits for the eyes, I can still see through one barrier with the Mangekyo, but again, conspiracy yes. While I was playing around, Madara activated Susanoo again and gave the Kage a good kick in the ass, after which he broke the distance. Here comes Susanoo in full growth. It's time to intervene. When Madara began to activate the fire destruction technique, I jumped up to his Susanoo and pumping up my fist with chakra, I hit him, after which his Susanoo cracked, but did not collapse, and was sent flying into the roots behind the cliff. But I didn't rejoice for long, because the next second I was already flying, right to where the Kage were. Luckily I arrived on time, because the Tsuchikage started clearing the area with the element of dust, otherwise I would have been annihilated. Or not. I'll have to check later, when I master it myself. While I was lying there and thinking about my further strengthening, Madara started a conversation again, in which Hashirama and his strength figured, and also that this fight was like a child's game. Yeah, in which he would have already been dead if not for the resurrection technique and his strengthening with the help of Hashirama's cells in the resurrection. Child's game, yes? Don't you dare underestimate the will of fire! Tsunade shouted, and I deigned to sit up, rather than give in to laziness and continue to lie down. You think you can defeat me with just Hashirama's will? Strength is the ability to turn dreams into reality. You are wrong. The will of the dead gives strength to the living. I used it to create my medical techniques. I created a new shinobi system and rules for shinobi medics. Then followed a list of rules that were not important to me, and so I simply began to get up. After all, sitting on the ground, without grass, not very comfortable. Water if there was grass on it, yes, it would be great, although not always, but these are already trifles. Tsunade attacked Madara, who apparently decided to test her strength. The Tsuchikage and Reikage followed her into the attack, and Madara himself decided to break the distance and attacked with the Great Fire Destruction technique. He has a meager supply of techniques, basically only uses Great Destruction. Naturally, Madara flew towards the wall and the conversation continued. I put my hand to my face. Another wasted chance to develop success. Well, I still need to follow them. I will stay behind the Kage's backs for now and wait. Maybe Kagaya will appear very soon. I wanted to look at this girl. After all, when watching the anime, she looked beautiful, and strong too. Well, if Madara wasn't already dead, he would have died a couple of times, and not only from my hand, but also from the other Kage. Thanks to instant foresight, I was able to push Tsunade away and expose myself to Susanu's sword, but it didn't pierce my armor, it just threw me up. The armor cracked a little, but immediately recovered. You successfully sealed my wooden clone. Hashirama liked to use them often, she is flawless. Run! There was a ton of worry in Tsunade's voice, but the fact that there wasn't a scratch on my armor helped Tsunade calm down quickly. I was the only one who could recognize her in the old days. And that was only thanks to the power of my eyes. And now you are finished, the remaining Kage and the last Kagaya. While he was ranting, I had already managed to return to Earth and get closer to Madara. My attack sent Madara flying, though not for long. He stopped with the help of Susanu, breaking with his hands on the ground. You're starting to bore me. Madara glared at me with his Rinnegan's. The Tsuchikage immediately attacked him with the element of dust, but the attack was unsuccessful and was absorbed by the Rinnegan. But Nagato, as far as I remember, had to point his hand in the direction of the attack, which Madara does not do. Apparently, he mastered the eyes completely, if not the same, then more than Nagato. To finish me off, you need brute force and the strongest seal. You know that. But my particle element was able to touch you earlier. How is it that it is now useless? Rinnegan! Is it so hard to figure it out? Oh, you mean that? I just wanted to show you all Hashirama's face. Pervert. He stuck Hashirama's face on you and is happy. That was supposed to put you in your place. However, everything happened exactly the opposite. You perked up. You used the tree clone before, but you didn't use it now. So we've cornered you. Am I wrong? Madara didn't respond to this statement, he just glanced sideways at the Tsuchikage. Ha! There's nothing to answer. So they caused him problems even without my frequent intervention. 5 against 1, no matter how you look at it. Even if that's the case, we will win. We are not cowards. You should be flattered, we highly value your power. You are Uchiha Madara. Kagaya gives me more problems than you. After all, he doesn't probe the enemy or take a breather through conversation. Kagaya, what can you expect from them? Madara spread his hands and shrugged his shoulders. In my time, it was exactly the same. They rushed into battle and didn't build a strategy, trying to simply crush with force. But this Kagaya is different. He uses a banal, but effective tactic: wait for a convenient moment and attack. And sometimes you give him these moments. Even so, thanks to this, we have a greater chance of winning against such an opponent. No one is saying that you are cowards. 6 against 1, the proportion is just right. Madara began to create wood clones and now 5 for each of you. And don't consider me a coward, you are the 5 Kage. Well, it's logical, first us, now him. Although why not 6? There are 6 of us to 1. But it seems he decided to count only the kage, even though he gave me 5. He underestimates me. So I want to ask you, do you prefer clones with Susanoo or without? It's up to you to decide. Boom, boom, boom. The chapter has arrived. It even turned out, it seems, not bad. It seems there are not many mistakes. It must be. Why are you silent? Answer. Do you prefer clones with or without Susanoo? It's up to you to decide. What are you talking about? Ooh. Me and Susanoo. I raised my hand and started jumping up and down a little. What the hell is this? Madara thought, looking at this picture and the shinobi who clearly didn't understand the situation, who didn't even bother to become serious. He's definitely a bigger Kagaya than the ones I've seen before. Only they're so reckless. Well, if he asks, then let them be. In front of me, the clones activated Susanoo to its fullest extent, causing my smile to widen. Then I will answer for you, Madara said, and all the clones, not only mine, although mine had Susanoo earlier. A battle has broken out. No, not like that, a battle. Well, that's better, even if it doesn't quite reach the level of a battle. I almost stopped holding back and just hit them. I used the Thunder God technique, throwing bone kunai with a seal, and, after getting close to one, I hit with a fist pumped with energy, first making cracks, piercing with the second and copying the fourth Hokage. I hit with a Rasengan, but not in the back, but in the face, which immediately disembodied the first clone. I even saw how Madara shuddered, apparently imagining that if it were him, and even alive, he would die on the spot due to underestimating the enemy. The second clone sent me flying, but not for long, as I teleported onto a kunai that I threw into the ground before I got hit. The Rasengan didn't penetrate Susanoo, didn't even make a crack. Someone pumped a lot of energy into Susanoo, ha? A blow that sent the clone with Susanoo flying, teleportation to the next one, a blow with a chain sword pumped with wind chakra that pierced Susanoo and destroyed the second clone, since it is almost impossible to dodge this sword. Still, changing the trajectory of a blow with this sword is quite simple, and if you pump it with energy, then it is completely hassle-free. Madara's eye twitched, and I think the thought flashed through his mind that I hadn't fought at full strength, and that's why I asked for clones with Susanoo. The third clone hit me on the head, or rather, I allowed it, removing the protection, and my head flew apart, but after a few seconds it recovered, and the clone received several earthen stakes in the legs of Susanoo with the seal of the Thunder God. Teleportation to the seal, which allowed him to appear in Susanoo itself and without jumping out of the chakra shell, get to the clone, knock him out of Susanoo, putting, at the moment of impact, the seal of the Thunder God, teleported to him, attacking with a bone from the palm of his hand to the head, destroying another clone. 2 left! I was hit from both sides, flattened, and had to recover again, which the clones did not want to give me and continued to attack. Straight from the tactics of Ajin. There, too, the immortal was not allowed to recover in order to detain and capture. As soon as my head and arm had time to recover, I teleported to another kunai and was able to recover, breaking the distance again. Taking out a regular bone sword from my shoulder, I pumped it with wind chakra, adding a chakra scalpel to it, and then attacked. One Susanoo clone was able to cut off half of the body, but did not touch Madara. Teleporting to another kunai in order to avoid the attack of the second clone, fortunately the kunai was under the one whose legs I cut off. A blow with the sword and another clone ceased to exist. The last one wasn't that hard, after all, after watching the beginning of Gaara and Madara's fight, where Gaara pulled Madara out of Susanoo with sand underneath him, and using the same tactics, I dealt with the last clone. The tactics, although not exactly the same, but leaving a bunch of kunai with a seal was not difficult, and his Susanoo kunai, filled with wind chakra and with an echo of a scalpel chakra, pierced, although they remained close to Madara, but again, did not touch him, and if they did not have time, they were squeezed out with the help of his chakra. All he had to do was to manage to move to the closest kunai, to Madara, in those 1.5 seconds and, hugging the one that had thrown him out of moral balance. Create a bone maiden. Just like on the time traveler a long time ago. Having dealt with my clones, I looked towards the Kage. They were also doing well, maybe not as well as me, but not bad. The main thing is that they were still alive. They were even able to attack Madara. Only, the sealing attempt failed, and Madara himself activated his full Susanoo. The attack of the completed Susanoo was strong. Fortunately, I pulled the Kage out from under it. While they were talking, at the very beginning of the battle, with Naruto, I put seals on them and was able to teleport them behind Madara's back. "Since I'm the only one left, you'll have to redraw fewer cuts," Madara said and turned to us. "Impossible. He cut through the mountains. This power. Uchiha Madara. But why then? Why did you treat us so easily then? What kind of adult would seriously fight a child? So maybe we should finish now." Having said this, Madara started moving towards us. We are plunged into darkness, but we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We will not lose. Susanoo is the embodiment of the destruction of all living things. Only the tailed beast can compete with him. Your spirit will be broken, just like you. Madara's blow almost reached us, but then he started glowing, just like me. It looks like this is the end. The resurrection technique is cancelled. Did something happen to the person who used the technique? This means the resurrection technique has been destroyed. What? We haven't caught Kabuto yet. Who managed to do it so quickly? Even if he found Kabuto, how could he deal with the technique so quickly? How did he do it? It doesn't matter who it is, he is the hero of the entire shinobi world. It seems that not all is lost for us. So there are still worthy shinobi in this world. This won't help. Was he ready for this? Not quite. He's going to make one final attack before he disappears. Keep your eyes peeled. Element of Fire, Song of the Fire Dragons. Hokage-sama! The Mizukage shouted as Tsunade parried the attack. I'm fine. But her Byakugan stopped working and I had to catch her and quickly deliver her to the ground, since the technique was almost finished. At the same time, it turned out that she was saved from the attack. Right there I noticed that someone had possessed Tsunade. Judging by the silhouette of the soul, a guy with long blue hair. Hokage, are you okay? Have you recovered and do you have chakra again? I just met up with an old friend. Well, you'll see him again soon. Attention! The request is ending, you will be transferred back soon. Reward, increased affinity with the death element. Attention! The death and necros elements have reached their maximum value. Well, that's it, I said, walking up to Tsunade and putting my hand on her head, ruffling her hair. I have to go. It was nice to see you again. I smiled and was sent back. Opening my eyes, I was in the place where I was sent from. The same echoes of negative emotions, dissolving, never reaching me, but another resident appeared here. Fortunately, I initially put up concealing seals and barriers, also connecting magic. Having examined this creature? Let it be so. It looked like a small dark ball, with negative emotions. And not only its own, but also those coming from my temporary carrier. Cool. Feeding on negative emotions, it can sometimes see through the eyes of the carrier, though only in negative moments. And it is growing. If this continues, it will be able to influence the carrier. To remove or not to touch, that is the question. It will grow up and begin to influence the host, which can lead to rash actions, and the result will be the death of the host, although what does it matter to me? I will not die. After all, I am not in a subspace but in the subconscious, and when I die I will be kicked out of here. But if I were in the host subspace, the space would collapse and I would be slapped along with it. Maybe I will be reborn as a Biju when I die, but I don't want to check. In the end I decided to leave it as is. It doesn't pose a threat to me, which means I can forget about it. I decided to experiment a little with skills, and also increase the amount of energy. After all, the world has a high concentration of it, and the energy grows by leaps and bounds. I don't know how much time passed, and I didn't follow it, but it was still interesting to do this until the system notified me again. Attention! A request has been received to use the projection of your soul in another world. You can refuse the request or accept it. Once the request is accepted, you can break the connection at any time, and you will be back. Accept, yes/no. Part 6 Commentary on Part 6. More conversations and water. They all know. The previous Kage. That was the first thing I heard when I appeared. An inspection of the surroundings showed that I was in some kind of underground room and there were several more people in it, whom I recognized: Sasuke, Orochimaru, Sarutobi, Tobirama, Hashirama and Minato. After all, I studied the history of Konoha, and the portraits were hanging in the Kage's office. Talk, and more talk. A vein bulged on my dead forehead, and my face took on a grimace of anger, and my head dropped while they talked. The conversation dragged on, and I was getting more and more heated. Even shinobi from Sasuke's squad began to glance at me, but I stoically endured until I felt pressure on my right and immediately released my own, instantly calming down. I don't know what came over me, but it seems I'm really fed up with them talking off topic, constantly interrupting and not continuing the conversation for which they actually called us, although why I'm here I have no idea. I know about the Uchiha, but they can't know that, because they weren't in the picture. Calm down, Renkagaya, Orochimaru said calmly. I see you've become impatient after death. I'm already calm. He began to remove the pressure. What I'm interested in is, why the hell did you call me? I shouldn't be here at all, because, as I see, the conversation is about the Uchiha and there are knowledgeable people here, also called by you. So why did you call me? And yes, is the war still going on? He folded his arms across his chest. War? Hashirama looked at me. There was a war. He shouted. Run? Sarutobi looked at me. As I see, you died, but before your death the war managed to start? No. The war began after my death. Then how did you find out about it? And were you able to participate? Tobirama looked at me with interest. This isn't the first time I've been summoned. The first time was when there was a war on Suna territory. There was a united army of shinobi. Then Madara appeared and I had to fight him too. Anticipating your question, he was resurrected. When the technique ended, the 5 Kage were doing well and I think they could handle him. Although I'm not sure about that. Madara was resurrected. But who? Why? Hashirama chattered. For the war, of course. I don't know anything else, that's why I'm asking, is the war still going on? I looked intently at Orochimaru. Yes. Still going. He nodded. And who resurrected you? He asked, bowing his head. I don't know exactly, but I didn't feel any control over myself, so I could act at my own discretion. And they resurrected me along with some rabble that I'm ashamed to even call shinobi. They were more suited to civilians, with weapons in their hands. So Kabuto managed to resurrect you. He just couldn't establish control over you. Interesting. Orochimaru smiled. You'll stretch your arms towards me and then immediately stretch out your legs. I looked at him sternly. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything. After all, Sasuke is the one giving the orders here. I feel some strong chakra for 2 hours, Tobirama said and walked towards the wall. I also feel Madara's chakra. So, not much time has passed since the end of the technique, I said thoughtfully and rubbed my chin. Then we need to get to the battlefield as soon as possible. As long as you are all under my resurrection technique, you won't go anywhere. If you insist, we can go to the battlefield after we finish talking. Talk later. Do you even understand how serious Madara's resurrection is? Stop chatting. The sooner we finish, the sooner we can go to the battlefield. I see you've developed a bad temper, Renkagaya. Sarutobi looked at me sternly. He may have become bad, but that doesn't change a damn thing. Like Orochimaru said, until you finish, no one will go anywhere. Okay. Let's continue. Hashirama intervened. While they were talking, I was bored. I still know this story, even if I had managed to forget it, but it didn't become more interesting, and so I simply lay down on the floor, for which they looked at me strangely. It's strange that they only look at me like that. Look, Hashirama is also sitting on the floor, but no one looks at him like that. Maybe because I lay down? No. I'll ask her a question that interests me, Orochimaru said after Hashirama finished. How did you die? You're strong, and it was evident when you used pressure at the beginning of the conversation. There is nothing interesting about my death. They simply starved me out and killed me. Still, 2 weeks without food and water, it has a strong effect on the body. I see. And who? The one who pretended to be Madara. Tobi, huh? Got it. By the way, who are you? Hashirama pointed his finger at me. Also Hokage? No, I'm not a Hokage, but a simple Chunin of Konoha. I would argue about a simple Chunin. You were not inferior in strength to Sasuke, and he defeated me. That means you are not a simple Chunin, but a strong shinobi who did not live to receive a Jonin vest. Well, I won't deny it. I didn't live to receive the Jonin vest in this world, but I have nothing to grieve about. It doesn't affect my strength in any way. That's true. Orochimaru nodded. Well then, Sasuke-kun. What have you decided? Will you destroy Konoha, or… I'm going to the battlefield, Sasuke said firmly, even with pathos. Part 7 Commentary on Part 7. Another one. Not even 10 days have passed. I arrived on the battlefield with Minato and even watched their conversation. And also watched Sakura slap Naruto with her forehead. It's a waste of chakra to heal what you've inflicted. It would have been better not to hit at all. A slap on the back of the head is okay, but hitting is not so much. It's a war after all, and she's throwing chakra around. You're fast as always, Sarutobi said when he caught up with us. Fourth, you teleport even faster than me. Great, let's get started. Who resurrected you? Orochimaru summoned us to end this war. What? Isn't Orochimaru dead? Incredible. The previous Hokage are joining the fight. We have a chance. I don't understand anything. That's not all. The rest of the help is delayed. And who is this? He also has a Konoha protector, but I don't remember anyone with such an appearance being Hokage. Oh. Run! Naruto waved at me. You were summoned again? Yes. They don't let me do my own thing at all. A faint tired sigh escaped my lips. I see your sense of humor is still just as bad. I didn't answer anything to this. Madara didn't disappear with me, as I understand it. Yes. I was waiting for you, Hashirama. I'll deal with you later. After these words, Madara's joyful face faded a little. I have to stop the Ten Tails. You haven't changed a bit. All you do is irritate me. And now… it's charging. Oh. I see that Kagaya has been summoned again. They still won't leave you alone. You don't say that, I sighed pretendingly. But on the other hand, we can dance again. A wide smile crawled onto my face, which, considering my fangs, looked like a grin. No. I'm no longer interested in you, since Hashirama is here. Oh? Are you turning on your pride again? Last time I caused you trouble and gave you a couple of slaps. After my words, Madara's eyelid twitched. Maybe so, but if you were alive then, you would have died several times. Oh, someone's childhood is not over yet. Moved on to the announcement of my death, if I were alive. This also concerns you, by the way. Madara didn't answer this. But the vein on his forehead still bulged. While I was getting Madara emotional, the Hokage had already managed to protect the Ten-Tailed with a barrier, and Hashirama used the art of the sage, nailing all 10 tails to the ground. Sasuke appeared and all the acquaintances started talking about Sasuke. But when I came, they only asked who I was and that's it. Bastards. After standing there and watching Hashirama create wood clones, I thought about it. Of course, it's interesting to collect abilities and become stronger, but I can't collect much on my own. If there was an opportunity to send someone like clones to other worlds, where they would develop this or that ability that I have, and then return to me, then I would become stronger much faster. And some can be hired to collect these same abilities. And to make it even more interesting, you can make several parties that will differ in the number of abilities. And just with a clear memory, but some settings, to return to me with all the acquired skills and abilities, to make it even more interesting. At the same time, when they return to me, I'll watch movies from their lives. I'll have to implement this somehow later. Fortunately, I have a lot of time. Well, let's not get distracted. Let's head under the barrier with the others. There are tons of enemies there. The Ten-Tails split up and created minions or something like that. They reminded me of some of the infected from the prototype. Big guys with hammers on their hands and people with blades. Take that, bitch! Sakura shouted, destroying several dozen enemies with her crushing blows. Shikatsumiyaku Bone Forest. I put my hands on the ground, conspiracy blah, and bone stakes started jumping out from under the ground, from which bones also grew, and from them more and more. By controlling the technique, I did not allow it to hit the Alliance shinobi, but also did not block their view, which is why some enemies were not affected, but the shinobi immediately began to fight them after they moved away from contemplating the technique. Unbelievable, said some shinobi made of stone. And then the competition began. Who's who, that is, whose technique is better in destroying a large number of enemies. But in my opinion, he did not surpass my technique. Still, I destroyed much more. Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke activated the summoning and stood like on the podium. And again pathos, although I am guilty of such things too. The shinobi world has left its mark on me after all. Only here almost everyone throws around pathos, although this is the prerogative of the strong, but oh well. I think it's time to use. Bones turning to dust. I'll clear the way! I shouted as I ran past them and created 3 clones. With the help of clones, we began to advance towards the 10 tails, touching each creature on our way and sending energy into them, and moving on to the next. My energy began to create dust-turning bones inside them, after which they grew due to the host's energy and burst out in several places, after which the host quickly turned to dust, and then the bones, left without the host's energy. Only Sasuke used my path, and when they got close enough to the 10 tails, he attacked with his black fire, and Naruto, in flight, attacked with a Rasen Shuriken. The 2 techniques combined and reinforced each other, after which they hit the 10 tails back right. I continued to move forward, gradually getting closer and closer to the 10 tails. Sasuke and Naruto were left behind, and I was starting to get excited. I had already dispelled the clones and was moving alone until I stood in front of the 10 tails. I was right next to something sticking out of its mouth, like a bag. And I already knew what I was going to do. Part 8 Commentary on Part 8. Ho ho. Chapter fuck. Ahem. Sorry, it just slipped out. I don't like the 10 tails having something sticking out of its mouth, so I decided to get rid of it. The dust bone attack was a success. That bag started to fall apart, and when it almost reached the 10 tails itself, it bit off that bag. And I thought it had no brains, but look at that. The 10 tails roared, then quickly separated the burning part and spat out a small Baijidama at me, which I defended myself from with bone armor, filling it with a large amount of energy. But it was pierced, although it still did not touch me. I flew into the barrier and fell to the ground, after which I jumped up, smiling almost from ear to ear. Cool! You are too dangerous. After these words, I felt danger and jumped to the side. Your bones. I don't know how you got them, but using them must have had a negative effect on you, although considering that you are dead, it is not surprising that it was easier to kill you than now that you are resurrected. Did you use them often before your death, and did they affect your body? I just remained silent. Well, it doesn't matter. They won't help you anyway, Obito said from where I stood. Obito had a gray skin tone and strange appendages. After analyzing him, I realized that he had become a Jinchuriki. Now it was becoming dangerous for the living. A bunch of arches fell on Obito, but they began to crack, giving him only a short respite. Obito tore through the barrier of the 4 crimson lights with relative ease. Things are getting ugly. The ground shook after the second Hokage's attack, but Obito remained unharmed. Sarutobi attacked with giant shurikens, but to no avail, after which his body was destroyed. Obito attacked Naruto, Sasuke and the 4th Hokage, but before he could reach them, he inflated, losing his mobility, which I took advantage of, quickly moving to him, and raised my bone to attack, but he attacked me, extending himself, and I had to break the distance. Just like Orochimaru extended himself. Scary. The 4th's attack was also unsuccessful and he was thrown back, but Sasuke protected Naruto with his Susanoo so that he would not receive damage. The next second, Obito attacked Naruto and Sasuke again, but Naruto touched the 4th with his chakra, thanks to which he was able to save them. The part of Obito that attacked began to swell again, and it looked like it would explode. Obito's next attack failed and his part was simply torn apart, and I again moved to him and was able to pierce him with a bone, after which he began to disintegrate. But the attack did not reach the main body, since he, like the ten-tailed, simply separated it. Obito was able to restore his body to its original state and the fourth attacked him, but his kunai broke after meeting with the staff, and then the fourth's arm was torn off, but he remained capable. It was a trap and the fourth was marked with a black sphere, after which it began to glow and threatened to explode, but the second teleported along with it and Obito, after which the explosion occurred in another place, thereby saving Naruto and Sasuke. At the same time, the fight between Madara and Hashirama was gaining momentum, but I paid attention to the battle with Obito, in which he was still caught by Sasuke and Naruto's attack, thanks to the fourth and second. He did not leave unharmed, but quickly recovered. I teleported to him and attacked him again with bones, which broke on the black matter. I didn't pump enough energy. After these thoughts I was torn apart. Because of this I went to recover. I have the power of a shinobi creator. My abilities are beyond this world. I came to underground. Judging by its quantity, deep underground. It wasn't hard to get out, since I had mastered the technique of moving on the surface. Outside, a fight. A fight between Naruto, the fourth, and Obito. I even got lost in it, but I couldn't watch for long, since Obito began to form the technique of infinite Tsukuyumi, releasing the ten-tailed. The tree started attacking the shinobi, but it didn't touch the resurrected ones, which was strange. It sucked chakra out of everyone it could reach and turned everyone into dried mummies. I had to leave the affected area so that I wouldn't be walled up under the roots, and I stood near the second and fourth, with Naruto. Orochimaru soon came and a conversation started, which I didn't listen to. And the living Kage came too. I immediately got it from Tsunade. "Rin, your mother!" She screamed, hitting "Who do you think you are?" It seems that she still remembers the last seconds when I stroked her head. "Hello again, Tsunade!" I waved to her, sitting down on the ground. Didn't use chakra to strengthen the blow? Well, yes, she is the Hokage and understands that wasting chakra at a time like this is not cost-effective. You. She was blazing with anger, idiot. And he got hit on the head by her again. Tsunade, so that's who your chosen one is? Hashirama said thoughtfully, he's strong, but it's a pity that he's already dead. You would have had great children. What? She screamed and hit Hashirama on the head. Yes, this one. This one. After thinking for a bit, she still didn't say anything about that incident. We didn't have anything with him. She blurted out, blushing slightly. Yes. I believe you, Tsu-chan. Hashirama nodded with a serious look, folding his arms across his chest. You didn't have anything. Nodding for the last time, he showed her a finger up. Tsunade's gloomy face was funny, but I couldn't look at it for long, as she calmed down and the fight resumed, in which all the shinobi were already participating. The roots attacked, and a little later dragon heads appeared on their ends. At least they looked like them. I still used ash turning bones, and the tree itself cut off its roots so as not to turn into ash completely. Thanks to the bones, it was easier for me to advance, since the tree tried to attack me and immediately cut off its own roots when it was attacked. Damn! Someone shouted and I had to dodge because, with the help of foresight, I saw how Obito attacked me with that black matter. When will you disappear? He shouted again and attacked me again, shooting clots of black matter, trying to hit me. I easily dodged and was already moving towards him. We met in close combat. My bones did not break, as I added even more energy to them. I learned from mistakes, but the black matter did not turn to ash as quickly as I would have liked. I need to add more energy. This world is doomed to die. And you will not stop me from doing this. I will create a better world. He created something like a chain sword from black matter and surrounded me, not allowing me to leave the affected area without using teleportation. Then Naruto in his nine-tailed Susanoo form attacked, giving me the opportunity to get closer, but I ran into a black shield and broke the distance. Obito created a sword similar to DNA, and in his other hand was the same shield. A fight began between Obito and Naruto with Sasuke. Naruto and Sasuke's attack managed to seriously injure Obito, but with his regeneration, it quickly healed. A game of chakra tug-of-war began, which I took advantage of and moved to the mark on Obito. There was still plenty of time to put it. Appearing right in front of him, I grabbed him and began to pull out his chakra, taking it for myself. A lot. This way I can quickly pump up my reserve, and control can be restored in just 5 years. Obito quickly realized that I was draining his chakra and attacked me with black matter, but at the end I managed to hit his hand, which began to turn to dust, but he cut it off without the slightest delay, so as not to turn everything to dust. Idiot! I pointed my fingers at him and fired knuckles that turned only the black matter shield into dust, but that was enough, because he focused on me and slightly released control over the chakra draw, which Naruto took advantage of and was able to draw out the tailed beast chakra that remained in Obito. Obito himself flew down to the ground. He lost. It looked like it would be over soon. There, Kakashi raised a kunai over him and the fourth one stopped him. Heartfelt conversations and attempts to pull Obito over to our side have begun. I think they'll succeed. Part 9 Commentary on Part 9. Oh. Second chapter in 2 days. I want to sleep. Then the events unfolded quickly. Madara was finally resurrected. The Black Zetsu captured Obito. Sasuke began an attack on Madara, who had taken the Hermit's chakra from Hashirama. The Black Zetsu was ranting, and I was tossing and turning in my thoughts. To kill or to wait? To kill is not difficult, even Obito will survive, but then I will not see Kagaya. The question? I want to kill and see Kagaya too. While I was thinking, the tailed beast started fighting Madara. I thought that when the good ones attack in a crowd, it's normal, but when the bad ones use mean tricks in response to their crowd, it's mean and not at all comme il faut, which makes the bad ones look even worse. Well, the moral costs in each world. It's even very strange that in each world it's almost the same. While I was thinking about other things, Madara had already managed to lose his arm, attach another one and get one eye back. He also licked the blood. It would have been better to heal the wounds. The 10 tails became active again and entangled the tailed ones with chains. Well then. Black Zetsu, prepare to die. I started running quickly towards Obito, with my hand raised to grab his head, but as I approached him, a fourth one stood in front of me. Move away, fourth. I frowned. No. He is no longer our enemy, the fourth said sullenly. He doesn't, but the Black Zetsu does. I shouted, you want Madara to get a second eye. No, I don't want to, but Obito is resisting him now and won't let him gouge out his eye. You're an idiot. Yes, with a capital I. How long do you think it will last? Then I looked back and saw Kurama being pulled out of Naruto, and then Sasuke being stabbed with his own katana. I stood rooted to the spot. Come on. Are you kidding me? There is canon in this world? Your mother. Yeah. Energy flowed out of me in all directions and I remembered the 8 gates, and directed the energy to open them, opening everything at once, though something went wrong during the first activation. I quickly moved towards Madara, hitting him, but he was able to defend himself with his Zetsu hand, but then lost it. You're going to die here! I shouted and rained down a hail of blows on him, which he barely dodged, but still received a blow to the chest. Madara's ribs were broken, but thanks to Hashirama's hermit regime, they began to heal quickly, and Madara himself opened his one eye in horror. The Shinobi Alliance looked at the battle unfolding before them. No. This is not a battle, this is a beating. Madara could only dodge and try to somehow protect himself, which was not going well, but still managed. For everyone, the battle was a flash of purple and blue chakra, in which it was not even possible to discern the silhouettes of the combatants. Hey, is this even real? Do you see it too? Impossible. If we had such a strong shinobi on our side, then why didn't he fight like that from the start? Then so many shinobi could have survived. This is 8 gates. How was he able to study them and open them all at once? Damn. If he had used such a technique right away, so many of ours would have survived. It seems I'd become attached to this idiot. To react to his death like that. I was even able to learn the 8 gates. Well, another powerful technique to add to my arsenal. Madara had already made a face from the number of blows he had taken, but he didn't give up, but I began to feel that my energy, given in this summoning, was fading. Damn. I stopped maintaining this technique and immediately received a kick in the chest, after which I flew into the ground and remained lying there. My whole body ached, although where would this pain come from? I was resurrected. Perhaps phantom pains. You are very strong. Why didn't you use this technique earlier? Then you could have one. Although, considering that your chakra is running low, and you are resurrected, it uses up a lot of chakra. Haha. Idiot. I just mastered this technique. After you ripped the 9 tails out of Naruto and pierced Sasuke. Really? It's somewhat similar to how the Sharingan is activated by strong emotions. Were they dear to you? I was on the same team with them for some time. I see. Well, even with such a flawed technique, you were a strong opponent. You could even defeat me if you had enough chakra. But it's true. I have much less energy in the summoning than in reality. A limitation? Most likely. Although, I thought that the energy should become more during the summoning, not less. And I activated the 8 gates not as it should have, so a lot of energy went down the drain. While I was contemplating the sky, Madara managed to become the Jinchuriki of the 10 tails and change his appearance. Ha! Now I'll lie down for a bit, and then back into battle. Just restore my energy, and then I'll go. The sounds of battle reached me, but I didn't move yet. Recovery was in full swing, so there was no need for unnecessary movements. I didn't time how much time passed, but very soon I was able to move and stood up. Looking in the direction from which the sounds of battle were coming, I saw a guy beating Madara under the final stage of the 8 gates. If I had activated them correctly, I wouldn't have been lying there for so long. Judging by the picture that unfolded, the battle was coming to an end. While I was getting there, Guy did his most powerful blow, which almost killed Madara, but he survived. He attacked Guy to finish him off, but then Naruto appeared and saved Guy. His eyes look like he's in hermit mode in 9 tails, but there's no lining around his eyes, and I don't see any features of 9 tails mode either. Strange. Well, the main thing is that he's alive. It's like a weight off my shoulders. The attack failed to do much damage to Madara again, and Obito is now next to him, and it looks like Madara will soon have a second Rinnegan. Damn, Madara will activate the Eternal Tsukuyomi. Commentary on Part 9. Ahem. Thanks in advance to everyone who helps me correct mistakes in the texts. Part 10 Commentary on Part 10. So I wrote this on my short weekend. I hope it turned out well. I tried to write their meeting, but I'm not sure it turned out well. Attention! An attack on consciousness has been detected. Countermeasures have been taken. Crap. I quickly went underground so that I wouldn't be sucked into Tsukuyomi. I may be confident in my consciousness protection, but it doesn't hurt to be on the safe side. I didn't sit there for long, and during that time, even the ground managed to shake. I headed towards Naruto's chakra to emerge from underground next to them while they were discussing Tsukuyomi and how to counter it. While I was moving here, I saw fragments of visions. A world similar to this one, only I wasn't there. Another world. The world of Tsukuyomi, or a branch of this world, where the fourth was not Minato, but Haruno's father. Strongly, but in the end the vision stopped and I didn't see them anymore. It seems the protection worked. Why did Tsukuyomi affect me, even if weakly? It's most likely because I'm not dead, but simply summoned by a projection of the soul, therefore such a strong technique can affect me for a short period of time, and since I'm an anomaly for this world, it can't reproduce me. Ten couldn't understand where she was. This world was not the one she lived in. She understood that right away. There were many things different here, like the Hokage rock, and the personalities of her friends. At some point, walking through the village, she heard a familiar voice, and it was talking about what was happening in that world, and she decided to meet this person. What the hell? The protection must work. If she couldn't fight this genjutsu, then she needs to find a way out, said the guy in a black cloak and long white hair, whom she recognized as Rin Kagaya, who joined the village at the end of their training at the academy. Huh. Oh. So it works. That was the last thing she heard before he disappeared into thin air like a mirage. Now there is no doubt that this is a genjutsu, and not another world. Now that she saw Rin, whom she had not met in this genjutsu before, and having met him she realized that he was from her world, then she will definitely find a way out of it. He did. Only, why is there no reflection of him in this genjutsu? Mind protection is good, of course, but you will need to add it with your abilities. It will be more reliable. It seems that the genjutsu is spread by the moonlight. It will gradually weaken. That's obvious. What are we going to do? You. It's me, Rin, I replied, removing the bone helmet. So, what are we going to do? If we don't take it off, it's not clear whether it will stop or not. If it doesn't stop, everyone will either starve to death or be sucked dry, considering the tree's previous attack, when it sucked the chakra out of those it touched. We need to stop this technique. In any case, we'll have to wait a bit, since you won't be able to resist this genjutsu. Sasuke answered, looking at the sky. How much? I asked, looking at him. I'm resurrected, so it doesn't affect me. The previous situation doesn't count. The protection worked, as well as you, with your eyes. We can't defeat him together. Oh, the beginnings of rationality. We need to think. Especially since without my Susanoo, Naruto, Sakura and Kakashi will fall under the effect of genjutsu. At that moment, the chakra began to be absorbed into Madara and he began to gradually swell. The ground rose up beneath us, separating me and the others. Following the chakra trail, which was incredibly large, I came upon the beginning of Sasuke and Naruto's attack, which failed and Madara grabbed them with his hair. I quickly moved to Sasuke and cut Madara's hair, after which Sasuke freed himself and freed Naruto. You again, Madara said discontentedly. Have you recovered? Well, one more, one less, it doesn't change anything. At that moment, he finally swelled up and Kagaya appeared in his place. A spectacular woman, I tell you! She attacked us and, at first, Sasuke and Naruto managed to fight back, but it didn't last long and they were thrown back, while I continued to dodge and cut her hair with a bone sword, not intending to approach. Are you a descendant? She said questioningly and affirmatively, stopping her attack and going to Naruto and Sasuke, ignoring me. Now that's not respect. Although, if she considers herself almost a god, then it's not surprising. These two are the successors of Hagoromo and Haku. No. More like Indra and Ashura. It seems you got the jutsu from Hagoromo. A long pause began, during which I estimated the chances of victory using only shinobi techniques and did not see them as 0, but they did not even reach 40%. Sadly, I attacked, teleporting with the help of the teleportation radius. An ability from the Index world. I don't remember who exactly I got it from, I forgot her name. She was constantly hanging around with Misaka and called her sister. The attack was almost successful, as I cut her hair, which she used to defend herself, but I did not reach her, as she broke the distance. Why are you attacking me? You are my descendant. Ah, I understand. Much time has passed. You have already forgotten me and do not consider me a mother. She thought out loud. It does not matter. This land is my lullaby. Let's stop this fight. I don't get it. What is this? Not canon? Again. Or canon? It doesn't matter. If the fight ends now, I can return to my development. I thought and relaxed a little. And it will end when I wipe you all off the face of the earth. She said and teleported us somewhere with a pile of lava. I started my free fall and threw kunai upwards, teleporting to them without showing my other abilities. It's too early yet. I ended up on the ceiling, attached to the wall. I don't need you here. Kagaya appeared in front of me and sent me to another dimension, where I immediately fell to the ground under high gravity. It was difficult to get up, but soon I was able to do it. With difficulty, but I was able. I held on, strengthening myself with energy to move. Over time, I began to feel that the pressure was gradually decreasing and, looking at the time in the system, I realized that I had spent a lot of time here. Either I had already missed everything, or time flows differently here. So where am I? Asked a voice similar to Naruto's, but a little different. Turning around I saw Naruto, only small. And he was different. At least in age. Oh. I see you're not having an easy time. It's not very cozy here. Your shoulders are getting a little stiff. I looked at him suspiciously. So you're from Konoha? I didn't see you there. Oh, right, I think I used the system portal. He scratched his chin. You. Who are you? I asked and corrected myself, as I used the assessment and saw a rather sad sight. If we meet in battle, he will sweat me, as I was unable to see his characteristics and the system began to glitch, after which I stopped using it. Oh. The right question. I'm Naruto. Or maybe not. Having said this, he took out a pipe. He lit a cigarette, stood for a while. I think I can fix my karma a little, he said boredly, and several vials appeared in my hands that were not scanned by the assessment. My gift to you. Oh, how good it is to do good deeds. And now let's get back to business. After these words, he seemed to evaporate from here, and I gradually began to understand that I had just flown with a whistle over the abyss called death. It was definitely a player. So strong that the system began to glitch. I don't know what kind of crap, but since such a player was talking about good deeds, he wouldn't give some crap. He wouldn't be kidding, would he? He wouldn't? In the meantime, I'll put them in my inventory. Fortunately, the system stopped glitching. Commentary on Part 10. Widgeon is not a mistake. NH is high. Part 11 Commentary on Part 11. So, well, it seems not bad. Yes, in principle not bad. I stopped tracking time already in the second month of my stay here and decided to take up development, which was advancing by leaps and bounds since I could at least move somehow with the help of the large amount of energy that I had filled my body with. But when the energy ran out, I had to lie flat out and make attempts to physically rise. It's pretty quiet here, just like in the subconscious of that creature, but it's still more comfortable there. After who knows how much time had passed, I was finally able to walk here without the help of energy, even though it was hard, and decided to try to get out of here. I got tired of just teleporting, trying to find the end of this world on the 1000th jump, after which I began to try to feel the seals of the Thunder God, sitting on the floor. I sat there for a long, long time, even my resurrected ass went numb, but I could feel it. 2 seals. 2 whole seals that I could teleport to. Holy shit. Ahem, sorry, I was just so overwhelmed with joy. I had wasted so much time, and I won't even count how much. Reaching for one of the seals, I finally teleported. So where am I? I asked when I appeared. Run. I've started hearing my name too often. Oh. So I moved to Sasuke? I asked rhetorically when I saw Sasuke, Sakura, and Obito. How did you end up here? I used the Thunder God technique and moved to one of the beacons that I could sense. I smiled a faint smile. If so, can you transport us to Naruto? Asked Sasuke. I can. I need a little time. I sat down on the floor and began to concentrate on the far point, since I felt Sasuke. Ready. Quickly come to me and touch. After my order they came and dragged Obito with them, after which they touched my shoulders. You might get a little sick. I shouted and teleported. We appeared, judging by the surroundings, in some kind of icy desert and began to fall, but Sasuke was able to grab Sakura and Obito, and I used a substitute for Naruto, who was not expecting an enviable fate, but it seemed to be a clone. I defended myself from Kagaya's attack with my bones, which began to disintegrate, and I had to drop them, after which I teleported to the kunai that I threw while reflecting the attack. Once I landed on the ground, I saw Kagaya's angry face. Again. You're in my way again. You should have died there, but you survived. I underestimated you. After these words, I dodged the attack from behind and attacked in response, but my bones hit her bones, thereby self-destructing, and now she had to throw them off too. You were able to reproduce them. Very promising. But you have already taken their side and do not expect mercy. As if I had any hope for her. We were again transported to another dimension, and I again appeared in the world with high gravity. While everyone couldn't move, I stood almost calmly and used additional energy. It's easier that way, especially in front of such an opponent. She attacked by shooting her bones at Sasuke and Naruto, but I didn't wait. I'm still sure that they can dodge. I believe in them. I ran towards her, and already raised the bone sword above her head, after which the world changed again and I hit the red ground. Damn! Almost got it! And she managed to shoot a second time, looking to the side where Naruto and Sasuke were lying. In that place stood Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi and Obito, who began to fall apart. That means he was able to protect them. Eventually, Obito fell to dust. It was even sad somehow. The next moment, Naruto attacked Kaguya and managed to cut off her hand, or was it just her robe? It doesn't matter, he managed to touch her. The fight resumed and Naruto used the chakra of the Biju that remained in him and was about to attack. But in the next moment some crap started and from Kaguya, the stump of her arm, the faces of all the Biju that were enclosed in her appeared, and a little later she turned into some crap. Too much crap today. Kakashi entered the battle, somehow using Obito's eyes and protected Sakura. A few more clashes and Kaguya became too big. It doesn't suit her at all, and it's easier to hit a big figure, I thought and fired my knuckles, but she protected herself with chakra and my attack missed. I teleported to Sasuke, and then to Naruto, after which the teleportation radius appeared next to Kaguya and they touched her, activating the sealing technique. At this time, I teleported to the severed hand and pulled out a black Zetsu from there. I've done something like this before, but this is the only way that should work. It worked last time. I whispered to Zetsu and began to burn him, just like the one where I nursed Rin. If it worked with that one, then it will work with this one. After all, they are no different. After scanning this Zetsu, I clearly understand that. What? He screamed before he started to burn and quickly burned away, not even leaving behind ashes. I definitely became stronger after our meeting in the other world. But Kaguya's hand might be useful to me. I thought this and threw it into my inventory. Some of the tailed beast chakra should have remained in her hand and it might be useful to me. I shouldn't throw away good things, should I? You're back, Naruto, the fourth said with a smile when we returned from that dimension. Looks like I would have returned from the subspace if Obito had died? Yeah, BL. Although it's not a fact, maybe Kaguya spent chakra to keep us in another dimension, and without the recharge we were thrown back? Well, it doesn't matter. The main thing is that there is a chance that I can be partially sure that it is possible to get out of the subspace using the Thunder God's technique. Why partially sure? Because it is not a fact that it will work. There are too many factors influencing the outcome. You returned to your world thanks to the summoning of the previous Kage. I even had to summon some to help you. The old man, sitting in the lotus position in zero gravity, was ranting. Shit, so we could have stayed in that dimension if we hadn't been summoned? Fuck. That's exactly the kind of world I wanted to see. While I was thinking, the world didn't stand still and continued its flow. The sun began to appear. It was quite calm, especially after everything that had happened. Now you, the old man, addressed me. I am grateful to you for the help you gave to Sasuke and Naruto. The reward will come to you soon. Your patron responded to my request, and you have already responded to the call. I am glad that everything worked out so well and you made a great contribution. But it wasn't me who defeated Kaguya. I know, but you helped Sasuke and Naruto defeat her. Without you, who knows what could have happened? Yeah, I don't think anything would have changed, I thought. But I didn't say it out loud. It's time for you to go. After these words, I began to fall apart, as if the draft had been cancelled. So this old man helped the call reach me? Interesting. If my patron responded to his request, then he is either a kind person, or he simply did not want to listen to the old man and simply sent the call and went about his business. Somehow I think the second option has a better chance of existing. Part 12 Commentary on Part 12. And so, now it will be clear to everyone whose subconscious the gentleman entered. No way. No way. No way. The world of horses. The world of colorful horses, damn. I ended up before the beginning of the canon, somewhere around 1,200 years, maybe less. Most likely less, yes, less. Somewhere around 1,000, maybe 1,010 years. If I keep my head down, maybe it will work out, and I will be able to at least gather more strength in a calm environment. Yes, I think I will do that. Actually, after I was sent back, I got a message from the system, or from God, whichever you prefer. It said that if I use these vials, then I'll get no reward. I thought about it for a long time, about a year, and decided to use them after all. The evaluation enlightened them, and I was able to figure out which one is responsible for what, except for 3. 3 of them are written in gibberish, and the evaluation doesn't want to identify them at all. Actually, for control and increasing the chakra reserve, although here the volume of energy will most likely increase, so I drank these 2 in Ren's body, but the rest for the characteristics I drank in Pitu's body. Even though it didn't show me how much it adds, I felt a huge increase in strength. I drank carefully, just in case, so I didn't spill a drop or even shake it. I haven't drunk those 3 vials yet, because I had to adapt to the power I received. I think I made the right choice, because the reward from God could have been less, much less than what I received. Still, if I were God, I certainly wouldn't have given anything meaningful or anything that would make me much stronger. Changing the system isn't such a problem. After all, the basic functions for buying and viewing news on the forum are there, and help in mastering skills has disappeared. Fortunately, skills work the same as before. Even my skill hasn't dropped. Still, my previous version of the system helped here, because it downloaded knowledge into my head and I didn't have to master skills anew, unlike others who smoked the joint. Trin Trevi. And then many dropped out because of the change of the system. In general, after the system changed, I started to come across more and more interesting news. It seems that the previous system was cut off from them, or did not connect to others at all. Well, this, again, is not a problem. The main functions work and that's fine. It took me a long time to master the new abilities, about 100 years, and now I can easily dose my strength so that I don't disintegrate someone into atoms with a blow or a light pat. Pitu's body has now definitely become for close and medium-range fights, throwing something there. The main thing is that this something doesn't split due to the high temperature during flight. And the other skills in it still work, who would doubt it, so I'm even more dangerous in it. Apparently, I was hasty in saying that I got somewhere 1,000 or 1,010 years before the canon, since I have been sitting in this subconscious for more than 100 years. Although, perhaps, time goes differently here, it is still a subconscious. At a certain point, I noticed my neighbor. Or neighbor? It's not clear. It was a clot of negative emotions that fed on the host's negativity and grew up, having received, albeit almost childish, but a personality. It began to brainwash the host. Dripped into her brain about the overthrow of her sister, and all that. As I decided earlier, I will not interfere for now, let everything take its course. Once in childhood I watched this cartoon, so I am familiar with the basics, although not with everything. Once I even looked through the eyes of the carrier, who at that time was talking to her second personality. Stop eating so many nightmares. She was in the room, opposite the mirror. I almost got caught when for a short moment I took control of the body. How did I almost get caught? And the body changed, only for a moment, but it changed. I hope the carrier did not notice. The changes were mainly in the eyes, which took on the appearance of mine, purple, and the teeth in the mouth became fangs, like those in my main body. There was also a scarlet mist that began to rise from the fur, which took on a black hue, in contrast to its previous bluish hue. I hope her reaction is not so high as to notice such changes that occurred in 1/10 of a second. Luna was alarmed. When she was talking to Nightmare, she noticed, just for a moment, a change in her appearance. A strong change. At first she thought she was imagining it, but a scarlet mist that quickly dissolved into the air was rising above her at that moment. And that already meant that she was not imagining it. Maybe it was because of Nightmare, but she knew what her appearance became when Nightmare occupied her body. And this was different from him. She didn't feel anyone's presence in the room or in her head. She could tell her sister, but she either wouldn't listen or wouldn't help, telling her to deal with her little problems herself. Why have you changed so much, sister? Well, hopes were not justified. She did notice, but after her full examination, which she conducted herself, convinced that if she could not find anything, then no one else could, she forgot about the incident. Note: do not borrow her body if I want to calmly conduct my training. Oh yeah, those bottles that I had left, I did use 2 of them. In Pitu's body. The body became a different gender, a guy. It looked similar, but with a difference in gender and shorter hair, combed back. The second bottle returned the appearance to its original form. I did not drink the third one. You never know what might appear? Suddenly I will become some kind of monster, and I do not need that. So no, knock on wood, no way. I didn't follow the outside world, I'm not interested in it. Well, immortal, horses play rulers and squabble with anyone they can get their hands on, so what? Of course, I shouldn't have ignored the outside world, but you can understand me, it's calm here, you can level up, experiment with skills and their combination. I got the element of speed from the Naruto world by merging the elements of wind and lightning. At a certain moment, something started to pull me out of my subconscious with its own hands or something else, but I almost kicked this crap away. It seemed to be in shock from my actions and was unable to pull me out. It seems to have been some kind of intelligent artifact. After another 300 years, I felt the despair of that second personality. I understood what had happened after I looked into her thoughts. Luna had abandoned her, yes, that clot of energy turned out to be a girl. I did nothing, although I wanted to help. I really wanted to, after all, I felt so much grief and despair only from her. After another 50 years, during which Nightmare went crazy, and then began to develop attacks herself, invent new ways to kill her neighbor, I finally began to pay attention to her, and to keep an eye on her. I do not need a crazy carrier. She calmed down a bit, and began to try to entertain herself as best she could. Construction, painting, and of course, developing new attacks. After another 200 years, I couldn't take it anymore, because her personality began to crumble due to loneliness, and she knew it, which is why her despair grew stronger every day. Shut up! I screamed in her head, after which silence reigned. And when I checked her emotions, I came across a huge lump of shock, misunderstanding, and a bit of joy. How are you talking to us? We are the Princess of Equestria. She stamped her hoof, speaking in a proud voice. Yes, all so great and all that, and that's why you're sitting here on the moon and falling into the abyss of despair. It would be better to start creating living beings. Or relatively living ones, after all, your magic here is flexible and with its help you can do such things. Another wave of shock. Who are you? Nightmare said more calmly. I'm your personal schizophrenia. I joked with black humor, but seriously, I've been here for a long time, in your head to be more precise. Who am I? I'm just a traveler who was thrown into your mortal head. Do you want me to tell you something? Part 13 Commentary on Part 13. New chapter. I'm really excited, from the inspiration that has come over me, compared to when I just started writing the second part of the fanfic. The sleepless night was not wasted. Nightmare is really hooked on my stories. At first, I told stories for children, like The Scarlet Flower, The Goldfish, and Beauty and the Beast, after which I moved on to others, gradually increasing the age rating. Naturally, I didn't tell the child anything with dismemberment and 18+ scenes, and I won't. She'll grow up and find out herself, if she wants. In short, I was involved in her education as a person. I taught her, pointed out her mistakes, and gradually changed her worldview. I didn't forget about my own development either and was actively leveling up while Nightmare was sleeping. Even though we are immortal, if we are constantly awake, our roof will start leaking, and we don't need that. Especially not her. After 200 years, I began to perceive her as a student, but her attitude towards me was unclear. There was such a cocktail splashing around that I don't see the point in trying to figure it out. My head would burst. I mostly taught her everyday things. After all, she is like a soldier to the core, due to Luna's careless attitude. Here I am teaching her, and she learns quickly. Apparently, Luna didn't want to teach her, lazy ass. Such thoughts slightly irritated me, but I quickly cooled down. After all, there are children here, and they are sensitive to emotions, even if I do not transmit them. Who knows, in what mystical way she will be able to sense them. Nightmare was overwhelmed with joy. After so many years of loneliness, she was able to talk to a rational person. He, of course, did not show any kind of reverence for her, and he considered the title a joke, but she managed to talk to him without any tension. Nightmare had wanted to talk to someone for a long time, after so many years of loneliness and despair. Even though he spoke as an equal, it was interesting to talk to him and listen to stories that he called fairy tales. Sometimes it was possible to feel his emotions, but most likely he allowed it himself, and in them one could feel sympathy and a desire to help. He taught her a lot. From construction to battles. He suggested a couple of ideas about developing her abilities and suggested trying to create life here, on the moon. Nightmare was very grateful to him, especially after Luna's betrayal. He did not speak flatteringly about her, and some part of Nightmare wanted to protest, but there were no arguments, and he laid everything out on the shelves, explaining his attitude. He also explained the reason why Luna abandoned her, but again went over her competence as a mother. Yes, Luna can actually be considered Nightmare's mother, since she contributed to her birth, albeit not in the best way. Nightmare doesn't know what would have happened if Ren hadn't appeared in her life. Most likely, she would have simply gone crazy and continued to cling to the only idea of creating an eternal night, but he walked through this idea like a herd through weeds, explaining all the disadvantages of this action. Ren knew a lot and was able to teach Nightmare a lot. Take, for example, the ability to take the form of other creatures, just like the changelings. He explained that for magic, if not everything, then a lot is possible, and therefore he helped Nightmare master some abilities. There was no limit to her joy when she saw him in real life. Although it was just an illusion, she was shocked. He looked like a minotaur, but completely different. There was no fur on his body, except for a long mane. He had purple eyes, mesmerizing in their depth, sharp fangs and clothes. As he explained, clothes are mandatory for his kind, since they are not accustomed to go without them, since this is considered indecent. Nightmare didn't care about the species of her friend, yes, her friend. He was a close being to her, who came at the right moment and protected her from personality disintegration. Nightmare hoped to someday separate from Luna and start a leisurely life without war and battles to the death. Of course, after receiving Ren's knowledge of magic, she became a formidable opponent, but thoughts also appeared on the topic of a leisurely life, which Ren wanted, but for her he needed strength, so that in the event of ill-wishers, he could protect both himself and his loved ones. Nightmare really liked the idea of creating living beings. After all, even though she was no longer alone, she would also like to feel the presence of other beings, and not just Ren's. He also made it clear that sleep helps with personality disintegration, since with prolonged wakefulness, intelligent beings can start to go crazy, which is what began to happen to her. Having felt this on her own skin, she immediately began to follow Ren's advice. After all, she did not want to lose her personality again. Thinking about what they were thinking about creating living beings, she realized something. If she created them, she would be their mother. Even though she was young, this thought pleased her. After all, Luna had no children of her own, and neither did Celestia, and she was determined to create life. She would definitely be a better mother than Luna, especially under Ren's watchful eye. At this point, Nightmare blushed, as it dawned on her that Ren would be considered the father. After all, they would be creating together. I was actively pumping up my reserve. After all, in this world it was growing by leaps and bounds. The world is overflowing with energy, which is why the reserve's development rate has also increased. Naturally, I didn't leave Nightmare and kept an eye on her all the time. I didn't understand why she blushed several times, but I considered it unnecessary to get into her head. After all, she had become a close being to me and I won't violate her personal space. This could destroy the trust between us. I think that when we part, I'll create an alicorn for her with a mold of my personality, so that he can continue to look after her. It's not difficult to create. After all, I created containers for myself and even worked out a way to instill the ability to live a long time, feeding on magic, although this may affect the appearance, but it will not die, and plants with nutrients can be created. How will the appearance of a being that lives on energy change? It will simply be thin, since energy cannot give a semi-energetic being the substance to maintain the body in normal proportions, unless this energy is, of course, in excess, and in this world it is in excess. Naturally, I will put several bookmarks in the head of this person and erase the memory of their existence. After all, it does not hurt to be on the safe side. I created the defense of the mind in several levels. The first, you could say, is a cast of a personality with a strong will, but with little experience in working with the defense of the mind. The second level is already a direct clash of a pseudo-personality with average abilities in protecting the mind. The third level is the same as the second, but with high indicators. The fourth is a combination of a sabotage personality and the one that is on the third level, so there are already two pseudo-personalities. The fifth was from the labyrinths, where the entire environment was a battlefield and could attack the intruder from anywhere, and there are also several pseudo-personalities from the third and fourth levels, which makes the chances of survival minimal. After all, I stuffed about 200 of them there. And with my experience in battles, everything becomes sad for the intruder. The last, sixth level, is a battle with me and the rest of the pseudo-personalities from other floors, which makes victory unrealistic. I wasn't worried about my personality splitting, since I didn't make them full-fledged personalities, but simply a program with certain functions that didn't influence me in any way, but obeyed me on an instinctive level. I also hung a few more layers on top of them and in their structure, which reflects an attack on the mind, but warns the carrier. If it happens that an attack on the mind passes this layer, then the attacker will stumble upon those same 6 levels of protection, which cannot be skipped and will have to go through each of them. But I will not sit like some dark plasticine, this is not a mistake, and wait for the intruder to come to me, and therefore I will actively attack him from the shelters of my mind. After all, I have complete control over him, unlike the intruder. The development of the revival of the moon went poorly, but we did not despair, and after 100 years the results appeared in the form of grass of such a heavenly color. Since there is zero gravity on the moon, they almost did not move, and moved because we walked here. The grass was able to grow, absorbing the light from the sun, which sometimes fell on it, and magic. Because it grew, we had to create insects that would eat it, and after they accumulated enough energy, they create another insect identical to the parent, after which they disintegrate into dust, or lunar sand, whichever is more convenient. This was done so as not to destroy all the grass that we created, and also controlled the number of insects. The insects themselves looked like a fluffy ball of blue wool with 4 small paws. They could not absorb energy from the background, and therefore they simply had to eat this grass, but they cannot overeat either, since at a certain point they stop eating, after which the energy is digested, and some is stored for offspring, after which they again begin to eat grass. They flew with the help of magic, like Pegasi, only without wings. In general, due to the fact that the grass is blue and slightly transparent, and the fact that the insects are blue, they were lost against the background of the grass. But when you walked through the field, they could fly up in a flock, which looked mesmerizing, and we sometimes walked through the fields to see this view again. It turned out extremely beautiful, especially when the sun illuminates this clearing, since the grass shimmered blue due to the slight transparency. In general, I am pleased with what we managed to create with the help of the magic of this world. Commentary on Part 13. Hope you enjoyed it. Part 14 Commentary on Part 14. So, yesterday after work I finished writing, but forgot to post it because I wanted to sleep, so I'm posting it now. As far as I remember, Nightmare was stuck here for 1,000 years, and there were about 200 years left until she was freed, maybe 300, it doesn't matter. Our attempts to create a pony were successful, and a foal with a horn ran around the gray mansion with blue-tinted windows. Nightmare couldn't get enough of him, especially after she decided that since we created him together, he was our child. We decided to create a unique appearance. A white foal with fur that shimmered silver in the sun, a white horn and a mane with a tail in the form of small crystal plates. I remembered one story that I once read, so I did not reinvent the wheel and made a likeness. Several more foals ran around the same mansion, differing in hairstyles and shade of fur and mane with tail, although they were similar, but some were darker, some lighter. Scratching my head in Nightmare's subconscious, I decided not to think about why all the foals were female. After all, thanks to the fact that they could share magic and collect it from the environment, they could give life to 2 or even 3 foals during their 300 years, presumably. Why aren't they immortal? And this is so that they value life and take care of their children, and make the accumulator indestructible? I don't want to, since there will be overpopulation of the moon, and then Equus, when they start going there, and in this scenario, Equus will die. It was interesting to watch them. as well as to teach them. With Nightmare we were able to breed crystal fruits, consisting of soft crystal. Who would have doubted it, and each had a different taste. There could be tastes like lemon, apple, pear, orange, and generally different fruits. It depends on your luck. It's funny when you watch a child grab a fruit and after biting into it he frown, because he got a lemon-flavored one. Nothing with a meat flavor was found, which is strange. After all, there was a great variety of tastes, but these were only edible tastes. If someone got a sand-flavored one, it would be unpleasant. Another feature of theirs was their high learning ability and various ideas for experiments that Nightmare and I were engaged in, but they were still too young for them. Thus, the first household appliances appeared, like a magic stove, which was not needed here in principle, mechanical doors that worked on accumulators and were connected by crystal wires and mechanisms that made this or that task easier. Thanks to several ideas from children, we were able to create butterflies that essentially have no function other than creating atmosphere, but let them be. We also developed the first weapon that shoots crystal bullets that are released under high acceleration using lightning magic. Railgun in short. With my knowledge, I helped create armor for ponies that have force shields, but the shield's durability is not infinite, so it can be pierced, but it is self-healing. At the same time, without Nightmare's knowledge, I created a black alicorn body, with a dark blue mane and tail, and a black horn on its head. When I leave, I'll leave it here, let it look after Nightmare, and help her in every possible way. The alicorn turned out to be beautiful and proud in appearance, as if it were an aristocrat, although given the race, it is an aristocrat. Fortunately it will not have the same habits, after all, it will have my personality, rebuilt in the style of a pony. It will consider itself a pony, thanks to which it will not have any problems with identifying itself. From Nightmare I learned about a creature called Discord, a spirit of chaos and disharmony or something like that. When we get to Equus we need to visit him and grab his abilities, they will come in handy. Nightmare and her children were preparing. They were preparing for an operation to attack Queen Celestia and were putting Nightmare in protective armor. Nightmare had already decided to split up with Luna a year ago. After all, after she abandoned Nightmare, she was no longer such an indisputable authority and patroness, especially since Ren had become much closer than the one who created her. Ren once told me why he suggested the option of creating life. He read somewhere that it was possible in our world, and after much questioning, he said that the story was very similar to the one in this world, so after being convinced of their great similarity, he decided to do something similar. After all, it worked in that story, and therefore there was a chance that it would work here too. He was right with this. Everything worked out in the best possible way, and Nightmare was no longer as lonely as before meeting Ren. Ren was still bothered by the fact that she wanted to use the elements of harmony, or as Ren called them, sentient artifacts, since they could act in different ways. But Nightmare decided to take a risk, since this was the only thing she could do, to finally separate from Luna. Yes, Luna was Nightmare's mother, Ren explained that clearly, but she was a shitty mother. A very shitty one, according to Ren, and Nightmare herself understood this, if you compare her attitude towards the ponies she created and Luna's attitude towards Nightmare. A reverse summoning seal was also developed, based on the technique Ren knew, but it worked on magic and involved teleportation, which was already known here. Soon it was time to return to Equus and Nightmare appeared in the castle of the two sisters. After quickly looking around, she found no threat to herself, after which she deployed the detection area in order to find Celestia. She was found quickly, and the queen herself clearly felt that someone had used large-scale magic, albeit of an unclear purpose, and its source was in the castle of the two sisters. Thanks to Nightmare knowing where Celestia was, she teleported to her and used several spells to stun her, after which she felt disappointed. So much effort was spent on developing, strengthening herself, and Celestia turned out to be so weak. Without lingering long, she went in search of the elements of harmony. Fortunately, they were in the same place as before. Stupid Celestia decided to leave them where they were before, without even trying to hide them. I felt the same force reaching out to me with its playful little hands again, and I kicked them away again, shouting that I would come out myself and there was no need to try to get to me. They turned out to be smart enough and stopped, and I came out of Nightmare's body and materialized the alicorn body that I had created on the moon. It turned out to be slightly lower than Nightmare, but higher than Luna, who was now trying to blink and began to look around and came across Nightmare and me. More precisely, she came across a crying nightmare, emotionally hugging me, and I watched this with a suffering look. After all, after this division, Nightmare's strength was halved. I also noticed how Luna was scared, and then in shock when I looked at her and spread my wings and hugged Nightmare. The next moment, 6 multicolored ponies of different colors burst into the room, and then Celestia drove up. "Luna!" Celestia shouted and quickly teleported to her, after which she hugged her, and Luna herself fell into even greater shock. "Okay, Nightmare, that's enough, or you'll cry out all the moisture," I said, pushing her away from me. "Everything is fine, now you are separated and free to live the way you want," I said, looking into her eyes. "Rin! Run!" She hugged me again. Thankfully she wasn't crying. "Who are you? And why is Nightmare so clinging to you?" Celestia turned to us, quite tense. "He is the one who helped me survive. He gave me a lot and taught me a lot. We even have children." Nightmare shouted the last one too passionately. It seems that someone wants to show that they have achieved more success in this field than their elders. This thought made me smile. Having looked over our little company, fortunately Nightmare had already let me go and was standing on the right side. Celestia was able to observe and evaluate my entire appearance, and was mistaken in the fact that I had managed to become an alicorn, which is why I caught the death screen. After all, they never had alicorn stallions, and then Nightmare, who was considered a nightmare, overtook them. So, I want to make a peace treaty with Equestria and our country on the moon, and also take away the ability of the inhabitants of the moon to govern it themselves. After all, they live on it," I said sternly and looked narrowly at the 2 alicorns, and the 6 ponies were still standing with their jaws dropped. "You give us the ability to govern the moon, and we return the elements to you, and in case of war we will help in the defense of your country." Celestia sat, thinking hard about this. "I agree, but I need to gather a council to warn all the high-ranking officials." "Acceptable. We'll be back in a week to finalize the contract." After these words, we were teleported to the moon by the remaining ponies who had received the signal. Over the time that had passed before that day, the population of the moon had grown to 500 individuals, all of whom had magical abilities and physical characteristics on par with the slightly more talented average Earth pony. Commentary on Part 14. I hope you liked it, and there are references to another work in the text. By the way, here is a link to it: https://ficbook.net/readific/1113504 #part_content. I recommend reading it. At least I liked it. Part 15 Commentary on Part 15. So, this little world will most likely be fast. I finally got to Discord, who is encased in stone, and even copied his abilities in chaos magic, albeit in half, but pumping them up to his level is not difficult. All you need to do is practice in it for, say, 10 years, or maybe less. True, Discord contacted me. Well, how did he contact me? I just heard his mental voice from the statue and we even talked a little. He offered to release him, which I refused, but offered to come to him sometimes to talk, so that it would not be so boring to sit in the stone. He agreed to this offer. His jokes are funny and in general, he is a child with great strength who wants to have fun. And his long life has an effect, because a long life is boring, and therefore you need to somehow entertain yourself, which is what he did. In general, over the last month, those 6 ponies were able to gain control over those intelligent artifacts after we gave them away when we signed the peace treaty. In principle, it would be possible to leave, especially since I noticed Nightmare's encroachment on my body, in terms of romance. I have nothing against it, but if I stay here, my development may stall, not counting the development of the reserve and control, which the system swears at. Well, it doesn't matter, it has been swearing at many of my characteristics lately. After the system was changed, it began to glitch more often, and alcohol from the inventory sometimes disappeared after a strong bug that it periodically gave out. So, the next world greeted me with a forest and some kind of fuss in the background. Having created a third eye and sent it flying, I saw a village in which knights were frolicking, cutting out the local population. Having scratched the top of my head, I decided to walk around the area, after which I noticed magical waves that were incomprehensible to me, similar to teleportation, and I was already heading to the place from where they came. At the place I met 2 girls and a 2-meter skeleton. He reminded me of someone, but after I saw how he created the undead, I was convinced for sure. Ains. Without hesitation I appeared in front of him and touched him, copying the skills, which made my head start to hurt noticeably, but the healing techniques saved me from it. "Hello?" I shouted when Ains turned his attention to me and flinched. "Very informative. So that's why I came." "Oh yeah, congratulations. You're a time traveler," I shouted and waved my hands. Ains, who was watching this action, seemed to have caught the death screen, but after the green light calmed his emotions, he looked at me meaningfully. "Who are you?" "I'm the same as you. A time traveler. In short, listen, I have a thing," I said, poking my finger at the palm of my other hand. "So I know your story, or rather the one that will have to happen in this world, and it's a little sad for you." "Are you threatening me?" he asked, raising his chin. "Damn, teleportation doesn't work. Who is he?" Mamanga thought frantically. "So, I advise you not to stick your neck out too much, because at some point you will die. I don't remember how, but I know the fact. In this world, once every 100 or 200 years, players from Yggdrasil appear, and from other worlds too. We've gotten a bit off topic. Well, I advise you to figure out the skills you have and actively level up." "Oh. Exactly. I would also like to visit Nazarick. After all, according to that story, it's magnificent. And it wouldn't hurt to meet the guards. By the way, did you still not find a way to correct your mistake when you corrected Albedo's consciousness?" Ains flashed green light several times, but still continued the conversation. "How could you know that I would die? And where could you have heard the story about me?" "Oh. It's very simple. In several worlds there are stories about many entities of the universe. That's where I learned about you, but meeting you was very interesting. You look exactly like in that video where you summoned the young and destroyed the army of one country. And how did you end up here?" His red lights in his eye sockets narrowed slightly, which showed that he was squinting. "I was thrown here by accident. I didn't choose where to go, so I was thrown here, and after examining the area and seeing how you create undead, I recognized you. It's clear. So, if you take me to Nazarick and introduce me to the Floor Guardians, I will give you the developments for moving to other worlds. I know one, but I'm not sure if it will work, so this might give you a chance to return home. At the same time, you will be able to collect knowledge from other worlds, which will bring you closer to your goals. But that's not all. I will give you the history that I know, or rather remember, so you will know the future. If you follow the same path." After my monologue, Ains beamed a little. It was visible from the slightly raised shoulders. "Okay, I'll take you to Nazarick. Only knowledge first." "No problem, but I will only give part of the knowledge. I should still have a guarantee of my safety." "That makes sense." After he said that, I touched his forehead and passed on some of the knowledge on opening portals to other worlds. Well, now it's my turn to fulfill my deal. After these words, I turned off the teleportation block and he opened a portal from which Albedo fell out. "Lord Mamanga." She jumped up. "I was so worried that I couldn't teleport to you. Something was blocking the portal." "It's okay, Albedo. I just met someone who was in the same situation as us, and he said he would give us the ability to move between worlds in order to return to our own." "Really? That's amazing. You're incredible, Mamanga-sama. And who is this mysterious being?" she asked, and Ains pointed at me, hiding my aura. Silence reigned, and Albedo exuded hostility and contempt. "And this little man said that he would give us such knowledge?" she said skeptically. "Oh, don't worry, I'm not human. I can take any form if I want." Having said this, I moved into Patu's body. "As you can see, I can change my appearance. Just like Pandora's actor," Ains said quietly. "Treat him with respect, Albedo. He is our guest in Nazarick until I fulfill my part of the deal." "Yes, Mr. Mamanga," she shouted, but looking at me with a suspicious glance that just read, "Competitor." Although why would it be? Oh yeah, I'm in a woman's body. Then we first dealt with the attackers on the village, which was mostly done by Mamanga, who decided to follow my advice to level up. The knights from the capital arrived. They talked again, after which we went into the portal. "Mr. Mamanga," the guard said as we passed through the portal. "Meet Rin. He is our guest for a while. We made a deal with him, which consists of transferring to us knowledge on moving around the worlds. I have already received part of the knowledge. The second part will be transferred to me after I fulfill my part of the deal." "Mr. Mamanga? Why not just force this person to hand over the information?" said the short vampire with fake boobs. "Because, my dear, I will not pass on knowledge if you attack me." I smiled. "And I am not such a weakling as you see me." Having said this, I released a small part of my aura, and the guards prepared for battle, after which I immediately removed it. As you can see, he is not weak and has the knowledge that we do not have, and I have concluded a mutually beneficial contract that will help us obtain this knowledge. "You are so wise, Lord Mamanga," said the beetle. "Now let's move on to implementing my part of the contract." He wanted to meet you all, because he had seen a story about us somewhere, and therefore had a desire to meet you and, in order to achieve this, to share knowledge. "I'm Rin. Nice to meet you." Having said this, I quickly appeared in front of each guard and shook their hand, copying their abilities honestly. Your creators were masters of their craft. They created your appearance, personality, and skills. I am delighted. I really wanted to meet you in person. After all, seeing the work of such masters is a great success. I'm so glad I was thrown here. I praised their creators for some time and their attitude towards me softened. The guy, since he recognizes their power, it means he is not such a lowly creature, and he has such knowledge. I continued to rant and tell some events from other worlds, and what kind there are in general. I also told that there are some where they can sweat and not notice, for example, the world of One Punch Man, where he laid everyone down with one blow. Mamanga was inspired. In the end, I passed the rest of the knowledge to Mamanga, after which I retreated. Why did I part with it so easily? Well, he won't be able to do it, since it works on chakra, only there are more dimensions than worlds. But who stopped me from making some adjustments during the transfer? No one, but I got a lot and more. Although, if he can remake the technique in the style of magic, he will be able to move around other worlds. After all, chakra is mostly limited to one universe, but magic is not, although in some worlds this happens. Now I started looking for one interesting person who had a gift for using artifacts, and I wanted to get this skill for myself. Part 16 Commentary on Part 16. Well, the chapter took a long time to write. It seems the muse has abandoned me, and seeing a friend off to the army and washing another friend's car shouldn't be written off. Work also contributed. It wasn't hard to get to that potion maker, nor to get the skill, which turned out to be level S. In general, the potions here are crap. You can't heal serious injuries with them, just keep them alive until qualified doctors arrive and that's it.